Hi. I guess what we're going to do tonight is I was going to call it a choose your own adventure novel, but that's actually trademark. So it's we're calling it a novel of your own choosing, or an adventure of your own choosing. I don't know. I think it'll be out in May if everything goes to plan. But I brought with me a document that has the first act of it, and so I figured I'll read from it. You guys can collectively make choices. If it's not clear who's winning, I guess Marlon will decide where we're going. And then after that, we'll just do like a Q&A, ask me anything about comics or life. I know more about comics, but and then afterward, I have the books if you want to buy a book, and we have a couple shirts I brought just for my personal stash, so that are like this one but in black. Is that funny? Cool. It's gonna be a good night. So I guess if I turn on my computer, will it appear somewhere? That doesn't look like my screen. I can do a little dance. Well, I'll tell you the general idea. So, and it says for Alamo Craft House, but that's just gibberish. It was just for you guys. So the deal is, it's a sort of game choose your own adventure. So you get to encounter things. You're reading it, aren't you? You get to encounter things and fight things and pick up stuff and do stuff. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to assume you win all of the fights you encounter. And also this is sort of beta, so there are like 1 or 2 little errors still in it, so just ignore that when it happens. And I think that's all I have to warn you about. Those are all the caveats of backpedaling before I start. So let's do it. So I guess I'll just read sections, and then you guys and gals can make your choice. And I should add, you can die. So don't just pick the funniest choice. Yeah, I guess if you die, we'll start over. Right? All right, here we go. You are 0 years old, suspended in a warm, moist sack. You've been sitting here happy and stupid for, if your marks on the wall are to be judged, approximately 9 months. Suddenly behind you, a flash of unbearable light appears. You want to turn away, but an overwhelming sense of purpose and meaningfulness propels you to this mystical opening. In a triumphant burst, you leap headlong into the light. You find yourself in the waiting arms of a physician. Instinctively, you whirl around, knowing that behind you is someone who will love you unconditionally and without hesitation as long as you live. Your vision unblurs and finds a plastic gestation vat into which a young man is already squirting a syringe full of clone sperm. The first emotion you feel in your life is disappointment. Interestingly, it'll also be your last emotion, and about 80% of the emotions will be 16 years later, it's your birthday. Your entire life has been spent in the confines of a small space orphanage near Rytniok Orfor. All of the proper names are dirty words in Czech. I don't remember what any of them mean, so you In the early 28th century, philanthropy briefly became fashionable, during which time there was a shortage of orphans to adopt, hence your existence. Despite being the only child in the orphanage during your cutest years, you were passed over time and time again. Some cited your hair, others your physique. However, when exit surveys were filled out, by far the most common sentiment was simply, eh. Now that you are 16, you are legally unadoptable. Dr. Nadezhda dryly notes that you are now unadoptable for 2 reasons. And looks disapprovingly at your eyebrows. As you instinctively cover them, he informs you that you will be sent to the Silene Monastery at cmuTV Prime. He hands you a strange gold note, which you are not to go to. You don't get to choose here. This is just to introduce the choice system. You arrive at the great monastery at cmuTV. I don't remember what it means. weeks. It is a tall tower of black stone covered in shimmering jewels and strange writing. Just gonna put that up. It is funded chiefly by government tax subsidies and by convincing poor people to donate money on a regular basis. The Silines were once the champions of justice and guardians of peace in the galaxy, but later all their mystical powers were superseded by advances in weapons technology. So now much of the time is spent amusing tourists and speaking on behalf of religious candidates for office. At the front gate, you're greeted by a gaunt man in dark robes, Master Belmobasek. He looks you over, briefly snarls in disgust at your eyebrows, then indicates you are to enter. You hand him the golden note. He looks at it for a moment, or reads it for a moment, looks up, then pokes you in the eye. He observes you stoically as you whine, "Hey!" Then nods his head and writes a few words on the note. You follow him inside, expressing your profound rage with a mumbled threat to write a blog post about it. You spent the last 3 years learning the ways of the Silines. You learned that there is a mystical energy that surrounds and binds the universe, which can be harnessed to lift shit or shoot lightning. You learned that there's a good side of the energy and an evil side. You were informed that the evil side is generally preferable since the learning process is much shorter, and you gain all your power just by being upset or cowardly. The good side requires rigorous mental and physical discipline to achieve comparable results. Ever since the Silines were utterly marginalized by improvements in technology, both good-siders and bad-siders spend most of their time watching movies and browsing the internet. Now that you're 19, it's time for you to enroll in vocational training on behalf of the Silines. You choose to be a medic, go to 3, a fighter 4, engineer 5. An engineer, since you have a deep-seated need for control over your tiny little life, but no pressing desire for the finer philosophical notions that underpin reality, you decide to enroll at technical school. You knock on the door of the technical department. Instantly, a camera shoots out and looks you over. The door then dilates to reveal a head engineer. Her small office is festooned with mint-condition action figures in the original packaging. Their yellowed plastic casings glitter in the unnuanced light of her desk lamp. "Enter," she says in a monotonic nasal beep. You assume she's talking in a funny voice and chuckle. Whoops. Your inelegant attempt to convert your laugh to a cough is noticed, but taken as a sign you will fit in well at She hands you a small pistol and you ask if it's a soldering gun. Setting 1 is laser pointer, setting 2 is flashlight, setting 3 is soldering gun heat level 1, setting 3B is self-destruct, setting 3C is soldering gun heat level 2. Gain alpha ray. Why didn't you put self-destruct between the settings that aren't related, you ask? She glowers at you with a level of introverted fury which engineers reserve especially for people who like intuitive computer interfaces. She picks up a limited edition Cyberstaff trademark, signed by the author of Cyber Wars 1, trademark 4, trademark 5, trademark, and 8 trademark, and points toward the technical school dormitory. 5 years later, not counting the year you spent in China, which you claimed was for research and cultural exchange, but which was actually a thinly veiled and unsuccessful plan to get an Asian girlfriend, you are near graduation. Although your main activities were masturbation, sleep, and sleep starvation, you have learned quite a bit, and you have gained some notoriety in your field for inventing sleep starvation. But you are not an engineer yet. Tuesday is final exam day. As you spent the last night with your friends drinking, playing video games, and talking about how you were all glad not to be tied down to a long-term relationship, you are in very bad shape. Panic begins to set in. The time for smart plans has passed. If you decide to kill your professor and take his brains, go to 10. If you decide to go to the cybrary to downgrade as much information as possible, go to 9. Alright, I'm going to do 9 because we did 10 last time I did this. 9. You had assumed the cybrary was a high-tech way to download information directly to your brain. Turns out it's a cute name for the kids section. Just to be certain, you talk to the irritatingly ebullient middle-aged lady in overalls and pigtails who works the front desk. With the kind of smile that usually accompanies a repressed urge to murder, murder, and murder a third time, the fascinatingly perky Miss Merriweather explains that you can indeed download information directly into your brain through your eyes, by reading. She tells you reading is an adventure. You can flick her off and tell her her face is an adventure. Then you walk off. Nice one, you mutter to yourself sincerely. Then you notice something strange. All the children here seem to be popping ADHD medication, like clockwork every 5 minutes. And not only are they... And not only are they constantly using drugs, it seems their mothers aren't even watching them. If you seize the opportunity to beat one up and take the delicious drugs, go to 15. If you suck it up, read your books and take the test, go to 16.
16! Beat up the kids!
50! I hear one very loud 16 and a lot of 16.
Beat up the kid!
15! All right, 15. Your engineering background has prepared you well for beating children. You quickly note that children's larger head-to-body ratio results in a higher center of gravity and adjust your kicking accordingly. Lost in your attempt to play Mary Had a Little Lamb by rhythmically stomping the sternums of 3 children of differing sizes, you fail to notice a group of angry mothers clustering about you. They confront you furiously. Those are their kids and their drugs. At first, you aren't scared of a small band of pleasantly attired mommies. Then one pulls a switchblade out of her baby yellow Tasman. Another uses her kid on a kid leash like a morning star. A third mommy pulls out a pair of brass knuckles inscribed with "My son is an honor slave." It is also inscribed with spikes. So I'm assuming you killed him. All right, so we go to 23. All right, fine. Hey. All right. Like the 100-headed Hydra, it seems like every time you decapitate one mom, another two appear. But thanks to your skill and staggering lack of morality, you soon stand atop a small hill of heads, your victory hailed by a chorus of weeping children. And bonus, amidst the carnage, you find a stack of purses, each a cornucopia of semi-legal prescription drugs. If you decide to take the drugs, you go to 34. If you wuss out of taking a pile of strange unlicensed pills, go to 35. 34! I'm on the wrong act. Everything's gone to hell. Go east! Alright. Since you don't know what each pill does, you can cite your head to your bets by taking all of them at once. Suddenly you can taste colors. Blue tastes like blood. So do red and yellow. Realize your mouth is full of blood. You pass out and enter a state of disturbed dreaming. Strange flickers of color dance before and behind you as your vision becomes vast and panoramic. You attempt to shout holy balls, but no holy balls is forthcoming in the silent chamber of your psyche. This is a plot point that will not come to fruition in the act, so sorry. In the blackness, a deep voice booms. I come to you through the energy, young one. I want to tell you of something that has been kept hidden from you. Everything in the universe, matter, space, you, everything is made of tiny particles. These are the granules of reality, and they are called booleons. Each person is made up of a certain number of booleons, some of which are yes booleons, and some of which are no booleons. A person's powers in life are tied to how many yes booleons he has. All the great beings of history and mythology have had a high ratio of yes to no. The gods and titans higher still. It is fortunate that you are unable to speak because in your drug stupor you attempt to say, whoa, 29 times quickly. Gain psychic aspect, let's ignore all this. Plus 3 wits. You wake up in a pool of your own fluids. This is unhygienic. Minus 3 hit points, minus 2 charisma. You check your phone. The exam is in 3 minutes. You haven't studied much, but you've got grit. Grit in a bloodstream loaded with unknown chemicals. Go to 48. I actually don't know what's coming next. Here we go. You enter the exam room. As this exam is graded on a curve, everyone in the room is your enemy. And you can see they are powerful enemies indeed. No, not the attractive muscular students in the middle of the room. They're weak. No, as you walk, you know who you fear. In the back, the 4-foot-tall girl adjusts her spectacles as she grins at you, her orthodontia glistening in the artifact. In the front, the boy with the sweater vest stretches out his 85 pounds of academic brawn, clicking his mechanical pencil to the tune of Flight of the Valkyries. In the corner, a wildly overweight redhead, with an intimidatingly dense constellation of acne, blows his nose on a pink monogram hanky, then releases his calculator from a Star Trek-themed belt. Your lower lip quivers boastfully as you take a seat. The first part of the exam is multiple choice questions. The test design is more on stepchild. So I'm going to assume you win. So. 52. You finish section 1 and request an instant answer from the computer, B-. You pass, but now it's time for something a little more challenging, so there'll be a logic puzzle here. If you get it wrong, or choose not to attempt it, you're not cut out for engineering. Minus 3 wits and go to 2. So if we go to 2, you get to choose to be a doctor or a fighter. If you get it right, go to 56. 56! You guys want to get it right? Yeah, all right. Well, I drunk you on. That's not me saying that. That's what the computer says when you get the answer right. However, there is a surprise part of the test you must pass before you become an engineer. A physical test. Every act of your body revolts at this notion. You became an engineer because you like working with your hands and dislike working with your arms. Happily, the physical exam involves no exercise. You perk up. You may have a shot at this after all. As is well known, the graphed weights of a group of competent engineers follows an inverted bell curve. You must get to one end or the other. Battle, wits, weight alteration. If you win, choose one of the following. Get skinny or get fat. You can choose whatever you want. You have passed your exam, making you a bona fide engineer. Because you're an engineer and functionally illiterate, you have to look up bona fide. The definition pleases you. You did it, Dorothy, huh? That's not a computer saying that, that's me. So I think this is toward the end of the act, actually. It was a low choice track. Soon it's graduation day. Based on your outstanding performance at an institution that neither values nor encourages anything of quality, you are teleported to the chamber of the President and Vice President of the United Vassals of the Empire for a special consultation. They're impressed by your ability to meet every challenge put before you by either dumb luck or staggering dumb luck. Both seem to look you over greedily like your delicious steak. The President whispers, "We must be certain," to the VP. VP nods thoughtfully at you, then walks over. His ursine palms grip your puny shoulders as he towers over you, his protruding chin a monument to mansiveness. You will be needed on the front lines of war. Fortunately, your urge to vomit stifles your automatic attempt to squeal like a small child. Based on your achievements at the monastery, we believe you are destined for great things, but you must prove your mettle in the man-forge of combat. If you do not already have one, add basic class master to your inventory. 1 week later, you find yourself on a trip to a strange planet, Mizurni 2, to battle a ragtag band of rebels, led by the charismatic Goodsider Master Slavok. Several years ago, a number of members of the United Vassals of the Empire rebelled. They opposed the UVE Central Command's cruel treatment of its vassals, and wished to acquire independence so they could personally treat their citizens with contempt and distrust. General Explosives Incorporated sponsored a subcommittee of Congress, which voted to declare war against the seceding planets. It was an easy choice, as the UVE government is decidedly protoclastian in ideology, whereas the rebels are damnable ultravarians. Ultravarian. After everything that happened in the 2470s. You chuckle at the ignorance of people who are different from you. Standing, you look out the window at the brightness of space at supercosmotic speed. Each star stretches out as a light yellow string across the dark. You marvel at how vast the universe is compared to a single human life. You smile. Killing people doesn't seem so bad after all. That's the end of the act. We have enough time to do another track if you want to be a doctor or a fighter. I know what you're up to. What do you? I think fighter was the. All right, I'm going to assume you're going for fighter. Just grown instead. You can buy the book in 3 months. Let's see, you're going to be a fighter, go to 4. So, you want to be a fighter. You enter the dark chamber of the elite Silent Warriors. The high black ceiling is buttressed with dark bones of some ancient beast of the sky. Anti-gravity chandeliers wobble gently in the breeze above you and give their twinkling light to the room beneath. In a corner, you see many black-robed monks playing video games and eating an Oreo cake. You walk over and are greeted by a Silene Grandmaster. Welcome to your new life. Being a great Silene warrior is no task for the faint-hearted. You have to get up well before noon. You have to wear dark robes, which are kind of hot. You have to smoke a lot of weed, and that's just the beginning. But first, we must see if you're ready. As your first challenge, you must do battle with yourself. You're laid on a table, and strange electrodes are placed all over your eyes. For a moment, you see nothing. You blink and find yourself in a cave. Before you stands you. You isn't that bad. I mean, we're not talking supermodel looks or genius intelligence or adult hygiene, but overall, you's pretty solid. You ask you if there are any deep dark secrets or disturbing revelations about your character, rapids under the still waters of your psyche. Nope. You guys hang out and talk about internet memes for 5 minutes. At which point the strange environment around you dissipates. You open your eyes as the electrodes are removed. Okay, says the Grandmaster annoyedly. Battle with yourself failed. We'll have you battle Frank. From the crowd of the video game playing warriors, a young man with a big yellow cloak stands. He smiles genially and skips over. Meet Frank the Goodsider, snarls the Grandmaster. Hey, hey, says Frank exuberantly. When nobody responds to his offer of a high five, he smoothly segues it into a pat on your back. The Grandmaster scowls and hands you a Plasmaster. It is an elegant weapon from a more stabby age. You press a button on the hilt, which causes an ever-whirling beam of plasma to appear above it. You cackle with idiotic glee. Frank ignites his Plasmaster. As a Goodsider, his weapon is not terribly effective in combat, whereas your Plasmaster cuts through all known matter. His gives a gentle massage wherever it strikes. Battle fighting, Frank the Lightsaber. If you win, which of course you do, go into a haste. Having dispatched your friendly opponent, you gain the trust of your fellow Badsiders. Add Goodsider Plasmaster to your inventory. You begin your training as a warrior monk. For Badsiders, power comes from basically doing whatever the Goodsiders advise against. This involves things like drugs, murder, and wedging Goodsiders. You spend the next 3 years in a never-ending orgasm of hedonism called training. You're too lazy to truly give in to evil, so most of your Badsider actions involve petty things, like not doing your share of the dishes, and draining a bunch of the Goodsider's beer into a 128-ounce novelty mug while at parties. You strangely display almost none of the Badsider abilities, But they still like you because somehow you always seem to have a supply of free beer on hand. Soon the day of your final exam approaches. In order to prepare you for the challenge ahead, the masters want to make sure you're truly devoted to evil. You're led into a small gray room. Across the way from you is a middle-aged man in dusty robes. You're told to fight him to the death. Okay, you say, shrugging. You take out your plasmaster and run toward the man. He's your father, says the Grand Master darkly. You stop in your tracks. I will not fight you, says the man. If you choose not to fight, go to 13. If you choose to fight, go to 8. Oh, you say, sweet, so I pretty much automatically win? Yeah, says your father. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you're willing to fight your own flesh and blood. Hell, fighting father. You wouldn't go to 14. Well, it'll be a very easy fight. You slice off his head with your plasmaster. The air is warm with the savory, sick smell of charred human flesh. Ha! You shout. Nice try, but I'm a clone. I don't have a father. A few nearby months try to stifle laughter. Right? I'm sorry, says an elderly monk. You were never a clone. It was, well, a lie. But on the plus column, you passed the test. Your eyes widen, your throat contracts, your face clenches, forcing hot tears to burble down your cheeks. You taste their warm bitterness, whose warmth seems to somehow fill your stomach with ice. Then everyone bursts out laughing. Pranked! They totally got you. Of course you don't have a father, you stupid clown. Everyone wallows in the hilarity as many hands slap you on the back and wish you could have seen your face when you thought you murdered your father. Cackles the head monk. You'll never have any family. Oh, you totally got me. Good-naturedly. Later that night you shower, and shower, and shower, but the blood won't come off. It's in your skin, it's in your muscles, in your bones, it's in your soul. As these thoughts swim through your semi-conscious mind, a dark sider bursts in and laughing tells you about the itching powder in your soul. Oh yeah, I got you twice. 3 hit points. 2. In the morning you awake full of revulsion for yourself, more so than usual. The head monk sees this as a very good sign. Begin your silent monk training. The art of silent monks is a difficult one. At the expense of useful vocational skills, the monks work exclusively on honing their ability with the energy. By this means, they are able to lift remote controls from the coffee table to their hands and cook food by shooting lightning from their fingers. They've also got enhanced reflexes, which are handy for playing hacky sack. All of these powers are acquired by giving into evil. For the sake of group stability, the silent monks focus on benign evils like not calling your mom enough, using more toilet paper than you buy, and killing poor people. Given your essential amorality, you are in principle good at all these things. However, to everyone's surprise, you're quite bad at turning evil into action via the energy. Fortunately, cheating is encouraged and you manage to weasel your way through all your tests. But now you face the greatest test of all, the monk final exams. In preparation, the leaders put you in a room with 100 good peasants. Your task is to kill them all in fast. If you stab one after the other in an ever more horrifying crescendo of gruesomeness, go to 43. If you note that by creating an incentive system, you can have the group kill itself person on person, begin with will take you back to engineer track, just so you know. So, I mean, we can do it. 43? 43, all right. Everything goes red as you uncontrollably murder everyone around you. When your normal vision returns, you find yourself alone atop a small hill of bodies as the smoke around you clears away. An ancient monk walks before you, clapping his hands at your effort. Good, good, he says. You've passed the first test and prove you're worthy of being a great Saline warrior. All of that stabbing wasn't just for pleasure. It was a test of your physical prowess. Your mouth hangs open vividly. But if you are to be a Silene, you must also possess good mental prowess. Not great mental prowess. I mean, it's mostly killing stuff and smoking up, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, you have to be smart-like to be a Silene. He escorts you to a small room in the center of which is a table with 9 squares laid out. So there'll be an image of 9 squares. He places your hand on the center square. So minigame, put your finger on the center square and set a clock for 30 seconds, and then you have to follow the instructions. So I'm going to assume you successfully, or remember what square you're on. 43B. If you were right, go to 54. If not, go to 4. You want to be right or wrong? Right. Randomized in the final book. 54. Monks giggle at you for spelling the word poop on their tic-tac-toe. You are moved to righteous indignation, shaking your fist as you shout, "Dicks! You guys are total dicks!" The Grandmaster silences everyone with a single wave of the gun that he's firing. Quiet! Our student here is almost a Silene warrior. He has passed our physical test and our mental test, but at last he must pass the spiritual test. Everyone around you smiles and nods in approval. You feel as... What? You feel something. I don't know. You feel great as your plasma... okay, it does make sense. All right, good. You feel at your plasmaster and narrow your eyes as you await this new trial. The spiritual test turns out to be going to the desert and doing peyote, which the monks claim is a spiritual thing. They're also doing whippets, which is essentially What did you expect? It's a bunch of people who hang out in caves and baggy clothes all day talking about magical energy. You pop a couple pills you find on the ground, or were those rocks? Suddenly you're attacked by a hallucination. Bad fighting animals, caterpillar Jesus. Bonus, you may ignore text from Caterpillar Jesus, and so this takes you to the same victory square as Engineer. 57. I think, yeah, I already read this, right? Yeah. Yeah, I guess you survived both times. Well done. So I think that's about 1/7 of the book. The other sections are quite a bit longer. In the second section, you go off to war, and then in the third section, you fight a monster on a distant planet, and then there's a twist in the fourth section. Yeah, I guess we'll go to Q&A. Yeah, it's been 40 minutes. It's about right for Q&A. All right, so I guess I'll close this. Goodbye. Choose your own adventure. So yeah, I guess just if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand and I will point and we'll do this thing.
What program do you use to illustrate your comics?
The whole thing I do right now is I have just relatively cheap Bristol board, and then I use a non-photo glue pencil on it, and then I use like a crappy just Sharpie or VCD marker, and then I scan it into Photoshop in black and white, which gets rid of the non-photo glue, and then I just color, and that's pretty much it. Very simple, not much to it. Yeah.
Have you thought about doing like a video game type thing with that instead of a book?
Oh, with the Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah.
We will probably do like a hyperlink version for Kindle and phone. I drove up yesterday. It's a little slow. But yeah, I mean, not like a video game thing, but we'll have like a hyperlink little thing, yeah. Yep.
Where did you come up with your depiction of God?
It's where I got it. If you look at, there are these old Baroque paintings, and they used to draw halos around religious figures with inlaid gold, and so God is just his own disc of that stuff. Yeah.
Are there going to be pictures in the book?
In the Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm think what's going to end up happening is, which I should have brought it, we actually have a cover, I don't know if it's the final one, but the artist is Chris Jones. I don't know if you read Captain Stupendous, or we have a kid's comic called Snowflakes. Or if you, in the store we saw a couple posters that he painted. But so yeah, there will be art, there'll be a really nice cover that he's doing full color, and on the inside there'll just be some simple drawings. Citation needed. Jesus Christ, not Randall Monroe, okay? But anyway, yeah, there will be artwork. Yeah.
When you build the bonus comics, where you're in your underwear and your white comics on it, I knew I should was in your underwear when that actually happened.
I'm at least in spirit.
What comics do you read?
What comics do I read? I don't honestly read too many comics. I actually have a rule about it that I think if you're working in an area, you shouldn't read too much in it if you want to be doing original work. But I do read, at this point I mostly read comics by people I know. So I read Nick Casey, I read Cyanide and Happiness, Questionable Content. I think that might be about it. And in terms of print comics, I'll read anything by Daniel Clowes or Alan Moore, but that's about the extent of my comic reading. Yeah?
You seem like a really cheerful guy. Can you make a really sad face?
I didn't actually feel it. I was just imitating sad people I've seen. Anybody? Yeah?
What's with all the nihilism in your comics?
I guess I think about it. I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess there's one up today, isn't there, about nihilism? Yeah. Well, that comic's a good example. That comic, it didn't start. It was originally just an explanation of an idea. The part with the kid arguing about whether he got a new bike was sort of a wraparound I put on it later.
But others, it's like a punchline.
Oh, just involving nihilism in general? I guess, I don't know, I guess it's just kind of funny, and I think and I would even say it's probably the case that when you get into science a lot, you get to this point where you're like, so the whole universe is just going to have this heat death at the end, and nothing we did will matter, and it's kind of depressing, but it's fun to put in comics. Yeah.
How far in advance do you write your comics before you put them up?
Depends on how you figure it. So I do write pretty much every day, unless something like I didn't write today because I was here in town. But I write every day, and I have a backlog of like 800 pages of jokes. Mind you, they're almost all shit. But I think like at this particular second, I probably have 3 or 4 jokes backlog that I think I'm comfortable drawing. And I have a backlog of I think 2 comics right now because I got to get home tomorrow. But I don't usually have a big backlog, probably just because of laziness. But I think the few times I've had a backlog, I actually kind of miss the instant gratification of finishing a drawing and then immediately giving it to people. So there are some forces there that I think I've never gotten beyond a week of buffer on anything for mostly laziness, but also that excuse I gave a minute ago. Yeah.
Have you ever actually met Phil Plait?
Yeah. We're little precious friends, me and Phil Plait. He gave me an asteroid. So I gave him artwork, he gave me an asteroid, so we're now best friends forever. And he's actually a redhead. You don't know it because he's bald.
He gave you an asteroid? That's hanging on his room.
No, this is right here. It's in there. You just have to look closely. But yeah, no, I know Phil. We've hung out. We've kept it real. It wasn't like cool. The conversation was really dorky. But, yeah.
Why are you so far behind on updating Invincible Vince?
Oh. Hey, it's Vince Invincible.
Wikipedia Live.
Oh, really? Did it? Did we get it wrong? Shit. For everyone who does not know, Vince Invincible is a comic I have not updated since 2004. I would probably actually get back to the problem is the big or sort of thematic element. It's this kid. He's like 7 and he's invincible. And he's named Vince. And one of the jokes of it is that he smokes, and his mom is like, "You shouldn't smoke." He's like, "Invincible." And which I sort of like, sort of thematically, because it ends up being this thing where he tries to figure out his place in the universe when nothing bad can happen to him. I know, bummer. But I just have not. I will someday get back to that comic, I'm sure, but probably not for 10 years. I really like that premise, but there is absolutely no money in the kid smoking in a comic. So it'll have to wait until I have more leisure time. Yeah.
When's your space epic coming out?
The space thing, so I'm really just the producer. I mean, I helped with the writing on it, but it's really more James's area. And I say this because I feel like I tend to get the credit for everything SMBC Theater does, and it's actually a collaboration. So the space thing, they finished principal photography in December. Assuming nothing went horribly, horribly wrong, that's all the photography that'll be done, but it'll probably be in special effects till summer. So I think the plan is for summer, but we're not certain because, you know, I don't know if you've ever done special effects, but it's sometimes hard to tell how you're going to get to the proper result from looking at it. So there'll probably be a lot of hacking involved, but I think the plan right now is sometime summer. Yeah, right back there.
Does your wife always think you're funny?
No. We actually, I have a thing I do for my jokes. Every time I write jokes, I have a little group I call the Joke Congress. And I think right now it's 7 people, and I send these jokes to the Joke Congress, and they write back and tell me what was good and what was crap. She's usually the first one to respond because her financial situation is tied to my funniness. So now and then I'll have one that I'm like, I think this is gold. She's like, that's the dumbest shit in the world. And I always actually like that because if I don't run it, no loss. If I do run it and people like it, it's totally in her face. And then I'm winning the relationship. I'm like way ahead right now in the relationship. I got to, this is tangential, but I got to, she's technically a scholar out of Davis. She works at, well, I'm not going to tell where I live, but she works somewhere else now. And I actually got to give a lecture at UC Davis before she got to. And that was the greatest day of my life. But yeah, so usually I think she finds me funny, or my understanding is she actually looked at the comic when we first started dating, and I guess there was a test I passed without knowing it, which was, do your comics suck? So if anyone in here actually does a comic, be fair warned if they suck, it might cost you. Yeah. Yeah.
How did you get started on all this?
In comics? I think probably in 1998 I put up one as a joke, like when I was in high school. And it was originally just to make fun of friends, that sort of thing. And it was bad. It was like, not clip art, but copy and paste and Comic Sans font. It was bad. It wasn't as bad as it is now to do that in 1998, okay? Yeah, it was like, 2 guys who have antics and funny things happen to them. It was not very good. And it's hidden. I actually have it on my server, but I will never reveal it. If anyone does hack into my server, you could do some cleaning in there. But anyway, so actually most people who are doing it for a living now got started for fun. I suspect that will not be true in 5 or 10 years. But yeah, it was just for fun. And then I think at some point in college I was starting to get a little audience, and then I quit a bunch of times. And then it actually happened. I was working in entertainment, like in Hollywood and all that shit. All those awful people, and all of them. and I was working for some talent agents, and I got to show them my comic. I remember the professor, Jesus, not professor. I've been away from that industry for a while. The agent said to me, I told her that I used to update this comic and it was going pretty well, but then I didn't have time. She was like, well, you know, that's what's wrong with your generation, is you. And she said, imagine where you'd be if you kept up with it for 5 years, and I just immediately thought I would be anywhere but working for talent agents. And so, as I recall, it was that night. It was probably like a week later, but I started updating full time. This was around 2005, and I think by 2007 I was making enough to like eat ramen and quit my job. So, and then fortunately, it's been growing a little above linearly ever since.
Why do you always draw yourself as naked?
I answered a question related to that. I don't know, I guess, you know, in comics you sort of tend to idealize yourself. That's also why I added the body hair. Yeah. How did I come up with the wedding vows?
Yeah.
Well, you see, I had... They are. The only part I remember is I said something like, I will be always in your heart like Dinoflaria. Oh, it's, yeah, I refer to us as nucleotides. Yeah, you see, I didn't help much with the wedding, and that was my way of wheedling my way back into the good graces of my wife. So that was the origin of that. One of you.
All right. Like on that subject, you like in the comics tackle a lot of concept that I would consider obscure because I don't go here. So, is there any like theorem or thing like that you've been trying to squeeze the humor out of, or you're still wrestling with, or something that you want to make a joke out but still haven't?
I have one, it's been on my list of jokes to do for so long. I think I actually mentioned it at a talk last September. But I have this joke, and you see the reason I haven't done some comics, I don't know how to do it. But I've actually written it, I just don't know if it's funny. But the joke is that you have postmodernism as a philosophy, and it's treated like it's an explosion, and an explosion near which all the different fields of academics were standing. And so what happens is, you know, a couple of them are more or less missed by the blast, like physics is fine, you know, there's a little pain from that, but not much. But then over here is like literature, who just got obliterated. And there's philosophy, who's shell-shocked and runs around muttering about how anything could be true. But the only way to do it I could figure is that everyone just has their discipline written on their shirt. But it's also 18 panels, so. But what?
Canvas.
Yeah, infinite canvas. But usually I can work it around. Like I just have one. I think it's going up tonight. I'll tell you in advance. It's a joke about a lot of people don't have can't make the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase. You know, yeah. And so, yeah, mostly in Asia. And so the joke is Jesus comes to Asia and turns water into wine. And then later nobody knows why Christianity is not popular in Asia. I feel like, so my rule is only one Wikipedia lookup per comic. The Wikipedia lookup there I think is alcohol dehydrogenase. So maybe not to describe, but generally speaking. Thank you. So I think generally speaking, pretty much anything you can work into a joke. I mean, I would say, you know, with you know, math, for example, some of the deeper stuff is harder to work into a joke. Or I would say it this way: there's math that's sort of instantly sexy. You know what I mean? Like math of origami is automatically interesting to everyone, but like deep statistical analysis, nobody could give a shit about. You know? Except me. My wife does a lot of statistics, so. So the thing that worries me sometimes is when I plow into a new field, like I'm getting into economics now, I actually have a textbook in my backpack. There's a lot to mine early on, and then once you get a little more in, it's a little slow going. Well, it's kind of like you've experienced as you've been learning a subject, you know. The first 2 semesters of math, you're just seeing stars everywhere, and then the 2 semesters after that, right, you're slowly accruing the last 2% of math, you know. It'll separate you from everyone else in math. So that can be hard when you know, like I haven't done too many physics jokes lately because I think I mind a lot of it, so I'm sort of laying off it for a little while and trying to do more reading and learn more. Yeah.
How much hate mail do you get?
You know, the funny thing about hate mail is I almost always get it for stuff I didn't anticipate. Like I do all these like I wouldn't say anti-religious, but making fun of religion jokes. You know, like I did a joke about a Tourette syndrome joke. I got like 12 emails calling me ableist. And I was to the point where I was starting to feel bad. Like, is there like a whole cultural movement that I missed and that I should feel bad about? And then someone wrote me, I think yesterday, it was like, and the title of the message was "As a person with Tourette's," and I was like, oh shit. And then I clicked it, and then it was like, I thought that was hilarious. So I don't know, really. But I actually, oddly enough, whenever I make fun of frat boys, I get an email or two. Which I actually did about the last one, but not too many, but I got a bunch once. I did this joke where you see the picture is like it's a frat boy and other frat boys are drawing like dicks on his face. And the caption is something like, you know, we had a lot of fun with Frank after he died at the party. And I got a bunch of emails with people being like, you know, that shit happened. I occasionally got an email about creationism or about how I'm pushing the gay agenda. I don't even know what that is, but I've started saying it now. Like I'm pushing the gay agenda. The gay agenda is like marriage rights and mimosas for everyone. But not too much. Like even the weirdest part is I get emails now and then. I've gotten like 3 or 4 of these now, and it's always blows my mind from people who say something like, "Hey, big fan of your comics, but I wanted you to know I'm a creationist, and I wish you would be a little more open-minded to our viewpoint." And I'm just like, I don't. How do you work in real life? Yeah, that was weird, and you know, but I actually don't get too much hate mail. I would be surprised if I got more than 1 a week, if that. So yeah. Yeah.
Does your mom actually read your comics?
She does. You know what sucks is not that. I mean, so it sucks that now and then she's upset with me. Although it's been a while. Since she's gotten really pissed, I think she's sort of habituated to the problem. But what's worse now that I know she reads it, like I'll do a comic that's just filthy, and I'll know she read it, you know. But what will be really weird is like I did this one joke. This is just an example of. I think it was, I forget the exact joke because I don't remember my own comics. I don't read them, they're not very good. I think the joke was something like there's a dad telling a kid how much trauma he caused to his mom's vagina. And my mom had read this comic, and she was like, "Oh, the kid in your comic was really cute today." But what I have found though is because you know, I'm Jewish or however you say it, I'm Jewish heritage or something. I don't want to get into it. So what I was worried when I would do like a Holocaust joke or a Hitler joke, and I discovered that if I included mom in the little voting button, like, haha, mom's gonna be mad, that she would never be mad. She would be like, I'm in the comic. So that's my new policy. Yeah.
I'd like to retract my previous statement, actually. On further consideration, you're absolutely right. Nobody cares about the deeper statistical analysis. It's all the lower-level easy stuff.
Yeah.
Considering the course of taking the semester, I completely agree, actually.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad we came to consensus about your field not being valuable. You know, I think like, my wife, Kelly, she gets such an attitude about bad statistics use. That's how lame she is. She'll, like, she knows. We have a podcast we do called The Weekly Wienersmith, and where most of what we do is we either talk to friends who are into cool areas of science, or we look up papers that look cool and just read them together. And now and then we'll look one up and it'll use a p-value test, and she just gets pissed like immediately. Like, p-value tests are all bullshit to her now because they're arbitrary. And I'm like, I just don't know what to say to you. Well, you're ranting, but she's like, 0.05, why not 0.06? You know? Yeah, but it's arbitrarily good though. Because when you got a result that was 0.055, would you just throw it out?
Well, that wouldn't be evidence against my hypothesis at that point. To that standard,
Okay, but it is arbitrary, right?
Yes, the p-value, no.
Okay, but if we lived in a culture that had 12 figures, it would be 0.06.
Make a comic about that.
Yeah.
You said you were like one share participate in the rate, but like, what's that ratio? How much non-hate do you get?
I can get a decent amount. I hate to say I don't have time to answer most of it anymore. So actually, if you really want me to write back to you, say something about how I'm a sexist or something, and then I'll be like, how dare you? But that ruins it too, because I once had a lady write to me, and she was, I don't want to say accusing me of sexist, because academics never call you sexist, they call you like gender essentializing or something. But we ended up talking, and by the end of it, she sent me her dissertation on I think the media socialization of girls in Canada. And Kelly and I ended up reading it. So this is the other problem when you have people you think are your enemy, and then you talk to them, it ruins everything. Yeah.
How'd you start doing the voties?
They're originally, there used to be, actually maybe there still is, a site called Top Web Comics where there was a voting system where you can vote for this comic and then you could provide inducements to vote. And so my inducement was this little extra panel. I actually stole the idea from, if you ever had a Far Side shirt, like circa 1996, they had these little panels on the side that would be sort of in the same spirit as the ones I do, like it's a sequel or it's a prequel or it's just some elaboration. So I thought that was kind of cute, so I took that and started doing it. And then eventually I was doing really well, so I was always at the top of this list and I kind of felt like an asshole. So I just removed it, and then people wanted the bonus comics still. Like, it surprised me that people consider it at this point sort of an integral part of the comic experience, which is really good for me because it means you have to go to the main page where I run advertisements. Which, by the way, if you've ever wondered why you will not see the red button anywhere but on the main page, that is the reason. Shit, right in front of everyone. Yeah. What? Oh, I got it. I'll come back to you.
This is a good question on your personal, like, what do you do in your free time when you're not, I guess, arguing with your wife or,
I can show you my life schedule system if I can turn the computer back on. Can I do that? Yeah. I hope there's nothing embarrassing on this. masturbate. I'm way behind schedule today. Oh shit, you're getting a hint of my, no, that's not very good. Old jokes. Where is it? How much is it organized? Here we go, daily to do. This is my life management system. Actually unbold everything. So what my system I use to organize time is every day I have a list of tasks. And the asterisk, this, what did I do? A fix, yeah, that's not exciting. I'm not fixing the company, I'm fixing my accounts. There's no porno anywhere, is there? So what I do right now, I tweak my schedule or my scheduling system a lot just because it's the way you get a lot of work done. But the system I've arrived at, which has worked pretty well for the last, I think, 6 months I've been doing this, basically each day is a list of strips. The asterisks represent the end of a sort of hierarchy. So the top 9, there are things that absolutely must be done no matter what. And then below that is more stuff to do, except for draw. Draw I have to do, but it can be put off. And yeah, the rest of that stuff is lower priority.
That's a lot of halves of books.
Snowflakes is a kid's comic I write, but it's lower priority in that I've almost finished writing it, so there's not much left to do. Yeah, so the CYO 10, that's 10 more pages of the Choose Your Adventure exercise, two of the science blogs if you read at, what's my science blog? Do you remember? The Wienerworks. Yeah, if you go to thewienerworks.com, I do these blogs where I'm going through basically teaching intro physics, calculus, and discrete math right now. I know, it's fun though. That's sort of my prayer for the day is doing the hard science. And then a book half just means listen to half an audiobook, and ebook 25 means at least 50 pages of a book a day. Yeah, and I have a couple other tasks on a whiteboard in my desk, but those are more transient. This is stuff that is important. So that's what I do to manage life. Yeah. Anyone? Yeah. What? Oh, it's 7:10. Oh, should I stop? Okay. I'll take 3 more questions and then I'll switch. Okay. 3 more questions. That'd be really good. Way back there.
So, with your creative process, you mentioned that you're reading an economics textbook right now. Is that usually how you come up with your ideas?
Well, yes and no. It's sort of indirect. My rule is, this maybe will piss off someone, but hopefully not. My rule is that I believe sincerely that writer's block is not a real thing. It's just an excuse. What I find, at least for me, when I am not coming up with anything decent, I find that it's a direct result of not having read enough. So my rule is, I think generally speaking, I read 3 to 4 just regular books, nonfiction, fiction, whatever, per week, and then I, meanwhile, read textbooks. I do them for the science blog, and I also have my economics book, which I'm doing right now. Usually I have something beyond the hard stuff, because economics you can kind of go through pretty quickly, whereas physics you have to pause now and then. But yeah, so my rule is basically something like 6 to 10 hours a day of reading, otherwise things will get stale. But I don't usually sort of read something, have an idea, and then write it down. It usually takes a little time to sink in. Yeah. Yo.
What is hiring 2
That is just a script we're working on. It's not. I won't count that one. It's not an exciting story. It's an upcoming SMBC theater about stuff.
What inspired you to start SMBC Theater?
For those who don't know, SBC Theater is a video sketch comedy thing we do right now every week. I think until April we'll be doing every week, or maybe May. James and I, the other guy in SBC Theater, we've known each other since high school. And we sort of wanted to do it for a long time, and it just was not very feasible. But he actually, I think it was as of something like 2009. He had graduated actually from here with a screenplay degree, So he had some connections, and actually almost all of our lead actors are CMU graduates. Then I had my comics audience, so sort of between the two of us, we had the resources to actually do it, and that was pretty much it. But what happened was we'd originally intended to be sort of a two guys with a camera screwing around thing, and then just coincidentally, my manager had wanted us to do sort of a show at San Diego Comic-Con. So all of a sudden we felt like we had to do something of quality, which kind of sucked. And that ended up sort of setting the tone for everything after that. Last question, better be good. So, way back there I skipped over. So, no? Change your mind? Yeah, you.
Oh. I was going to ask how you intend to fix Verizon.
I'm going to remove their pseudo-monopoly. I'll take one more. Yeah.
And in the use of bullet questions, we ask for more questions. Bullet. And if so, you can Seriously? Norton?
Seriously, Norton?
Yeah, you're Norton.
Oh. The answer to the first question is no. I guess we'll just be doing book signing here. So if you just want to, we'll try to form a line without killing each other, and I can take the credit card I think maybe. So thank you guys. Thank you.